back, ladies and gentlemen, to SQ1. I'm Daxel, of course, still joined by the Sarge, and we have Vuptrox Academy versus Stopwatch, ready and cooking for you.
Going to be an exciting game for us at the minute. Vuptrox are pretty much as dead in the middle of our pack as you can be. And Stopwatch Academy have had some really convincing performances, but failed to close out their games. Last week, they played a fantastic game where they had the run of all of the map up to 25 minutes, and then they let a Cassidin get to 6 items, and well, we all know what happens from there. So, hoping they're not going to make those same mistakes this time, but we'll have to see what they can put up against Vuptrox, who, like we say, dead in the middle of our pack, Dark Soul.
Yep, definitely is dead in the middle of our pack and looking okay, but as you said, Stopwatch, they know how to play the early game, they do well, but they can't close out games with the advantage that they get. They let Cassidin become a castle win, level 18, full items, just destroy your Mordekaiser that was 8-3 because you can't close out. And it's kind of, I think it's the tale of Stopwatch, because that's how all their games have gone so far, except for the 2 that they won. The 7 losses that they've had so far, because they're 2-7 right now, they're at the bottom of the table. And not looking very good, but they just can't close out their games.
Hey, I mean, we were just saying about how Fuzzy Esports were the bottom of our table and not looking too clever, and look what they just did to PogChimp. So we are not counting either of his teams out. I believe that Stopwatch have some magic in them that they can use to reinvigorate their mid-game and really close out. But we're going to have to see whether they can actually keep this pace going and whether they can stick together and keep the pressure up so far, because it is a difficult position to be in. They do play a lot through the bottom lane. Bomberhond on these ADCs has been a massive boon for them, but it does not look like he is playing today. Whispershot's going to be in instead, and we're just waiting to get into our champ select to bring you game 2 today of our Square 1 League.
Now, I think it's worth talking about Toxie. Toxie is an Anivia one-trick. He's the mid laner for the side of Vuptrox. And he obviously never gets given his Anivia. He's like Froggen. He doesn't get given the Anivia because people know that he's good at it, that he's comfortable on the pick, and that in the mid to late game, Anivia literally just one-shots everyone on the team using that Glacial Storm, using just basically every part of her kit will just lock them down, make sure they can't go anywhere, can't get near her, and that you'll just blow them up. So it'll be interesting to see what he will be picking up. We've seen him on the Pyke mid lane. We've seen him on the Aurelia, and a couple of times we've seen him on the Corki, so he can play other things. But they don't always do that well.
Yeah, it's always tricky when you get put off of your main champion on something that you're not quite as familiar with. But when you have over 800 games clear of your second most played champion, it's pretty obvious you're not going to get it in a competitive setting like this. But we do have a bit of a similar situation on the other side. Credible is a very strong Lux player in the mid lane, has a 4+ KD on Lux. I know that's been banned away from him previously. And Darkblade up in his top lane is a Shen main as well. Didn't get his hands on that last week, so that might slip through the draft today, as Skarner will be Vuptrox Academy's first ban of the day, taking a bit of pressure away from that jungle position.
Yeah, Leaving Limbo does have quite a few Skarner games underneath his belt. Of course, is Jappy playing in the support position rather than what we normally see him competitively playing in the jungle, and it is Leaving Limbo that will be taking up the mantle of that jungle role. So Rakan being banned away as well, another ban towards Jappy this time, and Anivia, obviously the one that we were talking about, taken away.
Yeah, barely worth mentioning it. We knew that it was going to happen. We knew there was no way of it getting through. Vladimir, again, same as our first game. Like we said, a lot of players within our league are playing the Vladimir, both in top and mid lane. A couple even taking him down for a trip to the bottom lane occasionally. And Kiana taken away as well. We will not get to showcase our newest champion in our Square 1 League today on stream. Hopefully we'll be seeing a bit more of her in future once all the teams have figured her out a little bit more, a couple of the counters and how she fits into their style properly. Morgana taken away from his bot side of the map as well, that support position.
And I like that they're banning away the Kiana rather than going for a first pick of it and it falling flat, or letting the enemy team pick it up and then you're taking a Baron or you're taking a Dragon. Supreme Display of Skill comes out, or Supreme Display of Talent, I should say, comes out, literally almost gives you a pentakill because it blows up every wall on the rift practically. But as you mentioned, Lux gets locked in this time. It will be over for the side of Vuptrox rather than in the hands of Credible.
Yeah, I did notice that had been left open. I was waiting to see if Stopwatch did first pick it, but it will be taken away from them instead. Sejuani going to be the first choice, in spite of that Stopwatch getting that strong, engaged, tanky frontline in the jungle for them. She's good at every stage of the game, practically. She doesn't really have any massively exploitable weaknesses. She's just perhaps a little bit telegraphed in what she's going to try and do. Xayah will be the second pick, a really strong ADC, lots of safety with the ultimate, and a very good option for these late game scaling team fights if that is what Stopwatch try to opt into. Definitely would give them a bit more impact in these late stages of the game where we've said they have previously struggled.
And I was just going to mention that the Trundle is left up. A standard counter against the Sejuani forces her away from the Aftershock generally anyway, because once the Subjugate comes down, if you activate the Sejuani's Aftershock, then she goes into negative numbers and becomes so weak there that the Sejuani just really from level 6 can't do anything against the Trundle. The Trundle has decent scaling in terms of tankiness and damage as well, so good to see that picked up for Vuptrox. And Caitlyn gets locked in. Remember, this Lux can be for Toxie or it can be for Tilt Proof in the bottom side. A little bit of flexibility, but we see the 80 carry as a response to the Xayah.
Lux support has been something we've seen coming up on the rise over the past two patches. Very difficult to deal with, provides a lot of CC and a lot of survivability when paired with that Aftershock rune as well. It has been nerfed fairly recently, but still provides that safety net for lane. But the Fresh will be a decent answer if that Lux does move down into the bottom side of the map. Able to get onto her, pull her back, and leave that squishy target right before the picking of this Xayah. So definitely like what we're trying to do here, setting the Xayah up for success, either with some hard engages if they choose to send the Sejuani down that way, or some peel and escape if they are the recipient of any ganks themselves.
Well, the Renekton will be taken off the books there, so won't be going up to run down in that top side. Won't be over to Toxie either. As we said in the last Champion Select, there's a bit of flexibility that we've seen in high elo competitive play, where they can play that towards the mid lane as well. Nico, of course, a standard flexible pick, can be flex almost penta-flexing. Rarely see it in the jungle though, but will be taken away.
Yeah, always a solid pick, and still able to go those two different build paths. The AP for the big team fight burst, or the AD for that on-hit style as well. Ari will be taken away, trying to target that mid lane pool, so it does look like Stopwatch feel that Lux is going into the supportive role. We'll have to see what the final picks are, as Aatrox will be our final ban aimed at the top side of the map, not wanting Darkblade to get his hands on that.
How would you like to see these teams round out their respective compositions?
So I think I want to see Darkblade try and pick up a Shen. We did mention how he is a Shen main. It is still left on the table for them, and it would give them a good option to have some global pressure and trying to back up this Xayah if they are looking to play through the bot lane. The Xerath is also a nice option to that, because able to roam down and use that very long range ultimate to influence this bot lane. Very safe farming in mid with the range as well. Just has to be careful about getting ganked, as they don't have any dashes. For the side of Vuptrox Academy, I think they need a bit more of a guaranteed engage. I want to see something aggressive up in the top lane, or if this Lux is a support, I want to see some kind of aggressive mid laner, something like the Silas that can get onto targets and make picks through there, or that can initiate team fights equally as well. McKinnon is a nice little addition to the roster. That will be going up into the top lane, and if built AP, that can be played for this big team fight flank with the teleport play that can get into the backline and cause havoc with the big team stun. Pyke fits what I was asking for nicely. More engage, more kill pressure. Yes, it's generally onto a single target rather than like a team-wide stun like the Sejuani has a bit more access to, but definitely not to be sniffed at as well if they are looking to go for these picks and these small skirmishes.
We'll just have to wait and see if that Pyke will be for Toxie or Tilt Proof. I'm assuming that it will be for Tilt Proof, since they did nerf his wave clear with his E, so it doesn't actually damage minions anymore. We'll just have to wait a few more seconds to see where they decide to put those champions. But Shen does get locked in for Darkblatt, as we mentioned once or twice already. Shen main, he is pretty good on that pick, and it will allow for a bit more global pressure, help to protect that Xayah. But Pyke, as I said, for the mid lane.
Pyke for the mid laner. Gonna be one to watch to see how Toxic is able to pilot this champion. We have already mentioned the recent nerfs that he received. I believe there have been some buffs come through for him since, so that he wasn't quite so garbage in the single lane by himself, but still not the ideal position. It does mean that Lux will be going down into that bottom lane as the supportive role, potentially trying to find some picks onto the Xayah or the Thresh, and I think it's going to be a case of Stopwatch trying to weather the storm here, trying to get through to the mid-game stage with this Xayah and with the Xerath without falling prey to too many bits of CC. The Pyke very able to dodge around the Xerath, get onto him and take him down. The Lux, if she finds a nice binding onto the Xayah, very similar story in the bot lane as well. So definitely a lot of impact is going to be felt by Darkblade up on the Shen in the top lane, able to assist in those clutch moments with the Stand United.
It definitely looks like both these compositions have a lot of potential for pick, but also a lot of team fight potential, because the Kennen, assuming he goes with the AP, he has his ult, and he has a lot of damage from that, can get a nice flank and get a huge slicing maelstrom. But then on the other side, you have Sejuani that has her Glacial Prison as well, and you have the Stand United from the Shen that can keep the Xayah or maybe the Xerath alive, depending on who's being focused.
Yeah, definitely a lot of targets that both of these teams are wanting to go for, and I think that if we're looking towards the late game and where these teams are looking to try and fight around the map, it is definitely going to be in the favour of Stopwatch if we go into the 30-minute plus region. The Xayah and the Caitlyn will both do a hell of a lot of damage. For Caitlyn, potentially edging out Xayah in how much damage she can do if she's able to free hit, but with the Xerath there as well, there is a big damage source of AP for the side of Stopwatch, and that Stand United and the taunt coming through from the Shen, I think will mitigate a lot of what Vuptrox Academy would be trying to achieve. So if we see these long games, I would be favouring Stopwatch if it wasn't for their recent reputation. I have to admit that is putting me off slightly. Mentioned already how they have struggled to close out games. We'll have to see whether this more late game orientated composition than their opponents, whether they would have the advantage and the ability to do that.
Yeah, just have to keep an eye on that. Just have to wait and see if they can overcome what is known almost like the Stopwatch syndrome, where they just can't close out games at all. It's the reason why they're so low down in the standings. They do really well in the early to mid game, but then they can't close out with their advantage. Where are we meant to be looking? Where should we be looking, keeping our eye in the first few minutes, maybe the first 3 or 4 levels of this game?
So the first 3 or 4 levels of this game, I think, are more or less entirely going to be run by Vuptrox Academy. I'm expecting to see this Pyke try and get a bit of CS initially, maybe clear 3 or 4 waves, get up to about level 4-ish, take a back, and then look to move around the map. Try and find this Sejuani in the jungle somewhere and go for the 2 versus 1 fight backed up with the Trundle. Maybe look towards top lane, try and pin this Shen in place, or a dive in bot lane. I don't expect this Pyke to be staying in lane very long at all. I think Toxie has taken it for the ability to roam and try and make picks around the map where Stopwatch might not be able to respond quite as quickly. Now, depending on the success of those, I think it will either give Xerath a good chance to scale up and put a lot of damage out himself, or these Pyke will be successful, will find these kills, and will simply be able to return to mid lane with a massive advantage and straight up kill the Xerath in that 1v1. So Toxie, in my opinion, is the man to watch for the first, up to about 8 minutes of this game, and depending on what impact this Pyke has had so far, I think you then need to be looking more towards the Kennen, towards the Shen, and where the Trundle and Sejuani can come in and try and play around this bot lane some more.
So we'll be keeping our eyes on Toxie in that middle lane on the Pyke, and he's opted to go with the Electrocute for that extra sort of burst damage. Xerath going with a pretty standard comment, but what I'd like to mention is the Sejuani, the adaptation that we mentioned in Champion Select that Trundle uses to subjugate. If you go with Aftershock on the Sejuani, you can be heavily punished because of the negative numbers. Opted to go with the Fleet Footwork. Sometimes we see Fleet Footwork, other times we'll see Hail of Blades. It's a nice adaptation that isn't as easily punished.
Yeah, fleet footwork also coming out from the Caitlyn, as you would expect. It is going to be press attack for the side of Xayah, so no real massive surprises coming through from either team's rune choices apart from that Sejuani. Kennen up in the top lane does have a Kleptomancy, helps generate more gold, press him through these early levels and get him a bit quicker to these item spikes that he is looking towards. Now, like we mentioned, we'll have to see whether the Kennen decides to go AD and try and be a side lane contender, keep the pressure up so that Shen has to stay with him all the time, or whether he'll be looking towards the AP route for this big explosive slicing maelstrom in the team fights. But until we get into the game a little bit more, we will not know. We can only speculate from there. Giving the AP route would be a nice option, mixed up Vuptrox's Academy's damage profile a little bit more, because at the minute they are looking very AD focused if that Kennen does look to be a side lane threat.
And also depending on how the Lux decides to itemize as well, usually we'd be seeing something like, hold off for just a second, they were looking for a pick there. We see usually the more supportive items rather than full AP for the Aftershock Lux, so also depending on how Tiltproof decides to itemize, it will be lacking a bit of AP damage.
Yeah, and there's not... That could potentially hinder Vuptrox Academy if this game does go late. You've got the Shen and the Sejuani who are going to be very, very tanky, a massive bulk to try and cut through, and if they... Jaffy could be caught out here.
It's a life binding playback, but he's all on his own. He'll be going down. First Blood's donated over to Retro Master. That will help him out on the next back.
I do feel that was a little bit greedy from Toxie there. From Retro Master. That kill would have been more beneficial on the Toxie, because he is going to struggle into this Xerath a little bit. Getting that kill for a quick back and some early advantage over his opponent would have been nice to get this mid laner Roman, unlock this Pike a little bit more, but a kill is a kill is a kill. First blood over for Caitlyn, definitely not something to be sniffed at when you want to be scaling your carries as quickly as possible. Definitely going to help out in that lane over the Xayah.
It's definitely a nice boon for the side of Vuptrox, and already gave over 2 assists as well, one over to Toxie, one over to Tiltproof, so that is an early 400 or 500 gold lead for the side of Vuptrox, and already getting a little bit of extra pressure in this lane just from Tiltproof and Retromaster being pushed up in the lane and showing that they can get the poke damage down onto Western shots in general.
And if anything, that's rather surprising to me. We know that the Trundle is nearby at the minute, so not wanting to go too aggressive. But I actually want to see this Fresh and Xayah try and make an aggressive play. They know that they are already at the disadvantage because of the first blood going over to the Caitlyn. While she hasn't had time to go back and spend that gold, and while the Lux doesn't have the Ignite, it would be nice. I'm gonna hold on
will
that.
secure it. Might be able to get the stun with the Permafrost here. Lux is coming up. That's a flash forward away from the Lifebinder. Gappy will miss the Death Sentence flash away from Krent. He is so low, no mana to help out his bot lane. Don't have stun just yet. Leaving Limbo looking for the Permafrost. Has to flash away. Throws out the Piltover Peacemaker. Just a nice trade of damage, but an early invade from Krent doesn't pay off, and you burn 3 summoners on your side. You burn 2 or 3 on the enemy side too.
Jaffy must be feeling frustrated right now. Giving over that first blood to his opponent, putting his team in that little bit of a deficit, and then missing the hook as well. That would have been a guaranteed kill onto the Trundle if he would have landed that, but just not quite managing it means that he walks away with a sliver of health after that flash ignite was used as well. So both flashes used for the bot lane of Stopwatch means they will be at a big disadvantage and not able to try and make any aggressive plays now. So I will be apologizing. It looks like my spectator client has frozen.
Alright, Retro Master is going to go down here. Whisper Shots picks up that kill. Flash away from Tiltproof will get him out. But all off of that one invade that went wrong from Krend, because Leaving Limbo was able to go down onto the Krugs in the bottom side, pick them up for himself, and they just assumed that Leaving Limbo had backed, and they were pushed up with no health, no mana, no summoners to try and get away, and they were punished. And Xayah picks up her first kill of the game, and that will help her back into this lane quite handily, up by a wave now, and the Caitlyn's going to miss out on a wave and a half because it's pushed into the tower.
Brilliant stuff coming through now. This could be a little bit tricky for us going forward. Unfortunately, I have had to close down and reconnect, so I don't know where I am in this replay compared to you, Darkstill. I am currently at 4 minutes 16 seconds.
I'm at 4 minutes and 42 seconds.
Excellent.
As
so
of right now.
So speed up to that. See if I can get forwards. We do apologize. We do apologize for this, viewers. Slight technical issue on my end, trying to get it fixed as back as possible. I am now at 5 minutes.
Same here. 5 minutes, 2 seconds. 5 minutes, 3, 5, 4.
We are back in sync and back into our game. Once again, apologies for that. League had a bit of a hissy fit. We all have it every now and again. So hopefully, small indie company as our.
I was actually just about to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's nice Caulfield's Warhammer picked up by Whisper Shots compared to the pickaxe on the side of Retromaster, so definitely starting to get back more into this lane, feel a bit more comfortable.
Yeah, the CS difference isn't too massive at this point. The Caitlyn is up by a wave, but with it pressing in towards Stopwatch, they will be able to pick that up quite easily, not at too much pressure. They know that the Trundle is nearby, and he has been spotted on a ward, so forced to back away, looking for another invade into the jungle, but nothing there for him to gain. As we're starting to see level 6s come through in this mid lane, expect to see Toxie move around the map, try and find some picks elsewhere. 40 CS give or take going into his first back, so we'll be able to get some boots and an item to help enhancing damage threat.
Incredible will have to definitely be keeping an eye on his mana, because if he has no mana, he can't get a stun, and if he can't get a stun, Toxie can just run rings around him and maybe get a kill with his death from below as well. So definitely have to keep an eye on that matchup and how it progresses. But both junglers towards that mid lane just gonna push out the waves, make sure that it doesn't get into a bad spot for either laner.
Yeah, and Toxie is now returned to lane. Did pick up that Tiamat, so will help him have that increased wave clear. Something that Pike is lacking a little bit now compared to recent patches, but it looks like 4 members of Vuptrox Academy will be posturing around this bottom side of the river, around the Cloud Drake, trying to get some vision down, but just petering out, returning back to the standard lanes now.
I actually quite like that. They rotated over because they knew that the Sejuani was trying to get that Rift Skull, and they allowed for their own jungler to pick that up for himself rather than give that over to Leave in Limbo, and now has a little bit of a CS advantage thanks to that, a little bit of an XP advantage too. Forces her to clear her top side and maybe even go for a little jungle invade. It's only the wolves that are up on that western quadrant, so we'll have to try and do something else as the sun comes down, uses the ultimate as well. Won't find enough damage to take Toxie out, but starting to trade a little bit more favorably for the Xerath in the middle lane.
Yeah, and lots of pings coming through. Both teams have spotted out their opposing junglers, with Seraph knowing that he is potentially at threat to the Trundle here, but at the same time, Sejuani has been spotted on background, moving into the walls now. No response will be coming through from the side of Vuptrox Academy. Trundle instead choosing to go and counter jungle, take what he can. Will be stealing away this blue buff, might look to try and get some more, but Sejuani now collapsing back through mid lane will be spotted as this Pike looks to be moving down towards the bot lane, going fishing, but waiting in this river bush. Oh no, Sejuani's gonna have to face check this one.
Yeah, red buff will not help him survive this if the execute comes out, down to half health, down to a third, down to death, as Toxie picks up that kill. First kill of the game, an extra gold thanks to the death from below over to Krend as well. So definitely looking good, sitting pretty with about 700 gold lead, and now they pick up this Cloud Drake for themselves.
Shooting fish in a barrel is exactly what happened there. Sejuani pathed through mid lane. Vuptrox Academy knew exactly where she was coming, right into the arms of Toxie. Sat there waiting, handed the kill lovely over to the Trundle as well. Both of them just sat there. Double team of Sejuani didn't have a chance of escaping. The Subjugate was used, as you mentioned, Dark, so to cut all of those resistances down, and Sejuani just cut through. Cloud Drake will be taken over.
Will land there. The box comes out as well. Lux will be going down. Whisper Shots is the recipient of that kill, now 2-0. Feeling good as the Zaya, but you're 2-2 on your team, so you're not exactly ahead. Here you have closed the gold gap to about 200. Retromaster doesn't have a flash available, have to use it there in that engage to get away from the Winter's Wrath. And can't really clear away this vision because Xerath is coming down as well. They're posturing very aggressively around this part of the map, making sure that they can't clear away any of this vision or get anything back from the engage that they have.
Yeah, the problem that we're going to see Stopwatch will have, if the game continues the way it is at the minute, with this Zaya picking up the kills, is if you have one fed member against a Pike, he knows exactly who to target in these fights, and as soon as that Zaya falls down, all of Stopwatch's damage currently falls away with her. So you want to try and get some of these kills onto the Xerath, maybe even onto the Shen in the top lane, as he can be a potent threat himself if given some time to get an item or two under his belt, rather than just stacking them all onto the Xayah. That being said, definitely not a bad situation to be in. We're never going to complain about having 2 kills onto your AD carry, but it looks like there are a lot of pings coming out from the top side of this map. Vuptrox Academy looking to try and get some vision and potentially take the Rift Herald here, grab themselves some tower plating, as Sejuani might be caught out in the jungle here. Toxin deciding to back away instead.
Yeah, didn't have Krend too nearby, and with the Xerath in the middle lane as well, didn't feel confident to go for that play just yet. But something that we haven't mentioned as of yet is that Rundown is going for the AP cannon, so will be better in these team fights as the Kindle Gem and the Amptome, so building towards his Proto Belt. That's the word I was trying to think of. Building towards that Pro Belt for an added amount of wave clear, added amount of maneuverability as well.
Proto Belt will be the first choice for our AP cannon, and I don't think it's really too much of a surprise to see that the cannon's going AP. With so much AD damage, like we already talked about, going into the late game without that AP cannon would have pretty much been a death sentence for them. No way for them to try and actually cut through any of the tankiness from the Shen or the Sejuani, so they needed the cannon at the very least for the extra type of damage, but more importantly, he will have a huge impact in his team fights if he is able to find a good flank with that slicing maelstrom, stun up all of his opponents, and create havoc for this Pike to run around in.
I think that Krend was spotted out there in the middle lane, lurking around, just waiting for an opportunity, but won't be able to find one, and Fresh gonna hold hands with his jungler just for the time being as they clear away some of his vision around the bot side as Toxie. Gonna take the word for wear in the trade in the middle lane. Out comes the Glacial Prison, will not tag onto anyone. In comes the teleport as well as Shen Sand United. Looking to make a play here. Slicing Maelstrom is massive! Gets the stun as Jappy will go down. Run down, just runs him down. Xerath gonna rotate towards this bot side as well, but Toxie is hot on his heels. Looking to engage here, force the flash because the pillar goes forward. Death from below will not have enough damage, will target him forward as Credible is looking for the stun. Stun will come through as Credible has to use the barrier, just ticking. He will go down. Toxie picks up that kill, not done yet, leaving Limbo caught out just a little bit as Rift Herald goes over the wall here. Shadow Dash just gonna get him to safety, the relative safety at least of this tower, but with Shelly there, it's going to get a nice bump on the tower. And the frost goes down onto Shelly, but they're just going to wail on Darkflower underneath his own tower. He's so low here, they're lucky to continue the siege.
All of a sudden this game blows wide open and it doesn't look like it's finished yet. Sejuani forced away with only a third health or so there. The tower in the mid lane will still stand, but this charge from Shelly meant tower plates went over to the side of Vuptrox Academy. A lot of gold gained for them in that play, going to put them at a nice gold lead for this stage of the game. And we're just saying about how the AP Ken was going to be an absolute terror in team fights. He got the flank off there with TP. Didn't quite manage to stun up all 4 members of Stopwatch down in that bot lane, but Jappy unfortunately left for dead there without his flash. No way out, and he will be cut down, giving us Ken his first kill and first assist of the game, followed up by another kill from Toxie in the mid lane. Lovely little play using the death from below to close the distance, and then just the bonus skewer dragging the Xerath out from under his tower, saying, nope, not today, you do not get to escape, getting another kill for his team there.
Yep. Definitely beautifully well done from the side of Vuptrox, and now they're about 1,500 gold ahead of their opponent's Stopwatch. And we're talking about how this was kind of a late game team fight comp coming out from Stopwatch, and that they aren't known for being able to close out their games, so that's kind of their silver lining if they can bring this comp online. But Trent gets caught out, decides not to go in on it because Toxie's nearby. Good kind of fight around this. Cloud Drake, one final hit will do it, but will not be able to find it. Krend not caught out, but the AD carry will be the one that is caught. As a flash away, the Glacial Prison will just play gatekeeper here. Cloud Drake should be going down to the side of Stopwatch and will be picked up by Whisper shots there. Final Spark wasn't enough to secure it.
So many whiffed ultimates in that fight there. Another fight up in the top lane. That
slicing Maelstrom Yeah, that's all she wrote. Rundown just gets a solo kill towards that top side, itemizing towards actually the ninja tabby there as okay, gets cut out, right into the box. Will just be taken down.
Yeah, return kill for the side of Stopwatch on this bottom side of the map. They lost their Shen on the top side, but down in this bottom lane, Whisper Shots picks up another kill as the tower plates have now fallen. We've seen that Stopwatch got 6 tower plates for themselves, while Vuptrox Academy only got the 1. So even with that Rift Tower play, not the greatest advantage, with Fresh being caught again.
Frozen Domain goes down for the extra maneuverability, and Ashley gets caught by the death sentence as well. We'll be able to get the return kill, but it goes over to Tiltproof, looking for more, acting stalled in. Whisper Shots doesn't seem to want to take this fight here. A little bit of a lack of coordination from the side of Stopwatch, and Toxie is also there. Death from below can come through, will miss. Actually, will do enough damage, but will not secure the kill until the auto attack comes through, and Toxie will be the attack credible here. Will miss with the bone spear, and just gonna use the pass up to heal up.
Yeah, lots of passive there to heal, and it wasn't unfortunate that Symphony was called, but now it's Zera's turn.
Yeah, it's his turn to go down. Retromaster just picks up that kill, and you just can't go so aggressive against all the CC. Tiltproof lands with light binding, then knock back with the bone skewer, and that's just easy peasy.
Yeah, very easy, and so far, that is the story of the game. Vuptrox Academy making it look easy wherever this Pike and Kennen go. They are having a bit more difficulty in the bot lane against this Xayah, but they are succeeding elsewhere. We said that Toxie would be the man to watch, and so far that has proven correct, as Stopwatch look for another play here on the top side jungle, but deciding to...
Tiltproof just gets left all on his own. Blast Plant out for 2. He has to flash away because he had no one there to support him. But it will be worth it not to give up a kill to the side of Stopwatch. And it was a nice power play, nice pressure play coming out from Stopwatch, but they got nothing from it except for that flash.
Yeah, they managed to get the flash out from the Lux, which will be nice if they manage to get a collapse onto her. But so far, with some of Jappy's questionable hooks, shall we say, I think that is perhaps unlikely. Now that the laning phase is over and these teams are starting to group up a little bit more and move around the map as units, it is going to be harder and harder to try and target this Caitlyn and the Lux.
Now still hunting for something in the middle lane. Pulls back with Bone Spear, will be stunned up, taken down. Death from below secures the kill. And that's just as simple as it gets. You just can't be that far pushed up against this team. Once you get hit by one lot of CC, you're gonna be hit by another and another, you're gonna die.
And that's the thing, with the chain CC coming through from the side of Vuptrox Academy, Xayah didn't even have a chance to use the ultimate. She is still sat on that Featherstorm and the Flash, so it's not like she didn't have the tools to escape that. There's just so much coordination and so much perfect execution, quite literally in the Pike's case, on the side of Vuptrox Academy, that she was not able to escape. Now, as they look to pressure this mid lane turret even further, as VPX Rundown takes the 1v1 on the bottom side of the map as well.
Now they're just going to pressure 3 lanes at once, pull back with Ghostwire Dive, and not be able to get anything there. But they're still hunting for something, sniffing around this top lane, looking for a pick, and Kennen wailing on this tower, wailing on Darkfla and bottom side. Caitlyn left all alone that middle lane just to get some chip damage there, but as I say that, will be caught out, will not be hit with the death sentence. Out comes the ultimate from the Xerath, will secure the kill. Finally, Credible is on the board. They're still hunting for something else. Dark Passage cannot be used. Forced to flash away, will be stunned up, taken down. Toxic secures that kill. Slicing Maelstrom is massive in this middle lane. Darkfla is going to be the next target. Spirit's Refuge will buy him a little bit of time. He will survive underneath the tower on a sliver of health. One has to assume that this tier 2 tower will just be going down in a second.
2 members drop for each team there, but importantly, the Pike is still alive. There is still that threat of picks coming through for the side of Vuptrox Academy, forcing Credible and Whisper Shots away. They don't want to get isolated and taken down by this Pike. It will allow Vuptrox Academy to secure that tier 2 tower and potentially move down to this third and final Cloud Drake that is going to be spawning, helping the Pike move around and roam even more, helping this Kennen find those flanks that have been so important in these 2 team fights that have broke out, that we've seen just a minute ago, helping turn the tide there. So definitely an objective of Vuptrox Academy would be wanting for themselves, but perhaps not willing to commit to a full 5v5 for it just yet.
Well, they're just going to dance around this objective, get some vision for themselves, and hope to secure this themselves. Caitlyn can steal a Piltover Peacemaker, will not reach and not have 2,000 damage to try and steal it away, so that will be secured by the side of Stopwatch, and they're looking to follow them up and hunt them down, but will not be able to do it. I know it feels really early to be saying this, but we're almost 20 minutes in, 10 seconds until Baron spawns, and there's a 7,000 gold lead for the side of Vuptrox. What do you do for Stopwatch to try and maybe come back into this game, maybe get a win, because it feels like they're slowly losing their grip on it?
I think Stopwatch at this point of the game need to play very, very sensibly. They need lots of defensive vision around. They can't let this Pike get into any of these flanking positions, or the Kennen for that matter either. They need to try and just clear up around this tower as much as possible. Keep a bit of vision on the Baron so they can see if Vuptrox Academy try to sneak it and potentially cause an upset there. Vuptrox Academy don't have the best composition for the
Lonnie, you just can't do that without vision. We'll have to actually salt to safety. Out comes the redemption just to buy them a little bit of time. Stay healthy. Out comes the ultimate from the Xerath as well. Not going to hit anyone. Krend just going to get the heal and the shield from the Lux there as Retromaster will be caught out. Finally, a death sentence lands from Jappy. He's going to burn down, but he will not quite die. They will get a pick there, but they expend so much just to get a pick on Retromaster, and Pike is pushing in the top side.
Yeah, all the time that this is going on, the fight still isn't over. The Trundle just trying to delay these backs as possible, because like you said, Pike pushing on the top side, Toxie getting this tower 4 levels above Jappy here, could easily go for the 1v1 fight against that Fresh if he so desires, but instead deciding to try and move around. Using the Yumu's Ghostblade to just increase his movement speed even more. Could be going for a potential flank down onto this team. For our low health bar, Sejuani is already very low. Could be within the execute range, and VPX Toxic here.
Yeah, coming in. He has the ultimate available if they get low enough. Pull back with the Bone Spear. Out comes the Blade Caller. Out comes the Feather Storm as well, just to buy a little bit of time. Flashes away from the Slicing Maelstrom coming out from Rundown. You had to do that. If you waited another second, there was the stun, there was your death. He saw his life flash before his eyes.
Yeah, Slicing Maelstrom not able to connect there. That would have been fantastic if the Kennen was able to get in the middle of that team. Could have looked at the base being broken here for the side of Stopwatch, but they are really struggling now in this game. There is so much potential for them to be picked off on Vuptrox Academy to dive onto their squishy members. Bazaya, who is pretty much all of their damage at this point, 4-1 with the Essence Reaver and the Phantom Dancer. The Xerath only has the Ludens and an Ancient Large Rod. He is still relevant, but definitely not as far ahead as they would like him to be. So the Pike has a very clear target whenever he looks to go in and make these plays.
Looking for a play of their own. Glacial Prison will land, will not get a huge amount. And Credible also used his ultimate to try and get a pick there. Did not have a lot of damage, so we'll expend 2 ultimates for nothing to get a little bit of pressure, but that's now gone. It's been pushed back, and they're getting rid of any vision that was established by the side of Stopwatch.
They're trying to get rid of this vision, but the problem is they have no... Stopwatch simply can't approach anything here in this own jungle. Sejuani being caught out once again, only managing to get out on the Fresh Lantern, and Vuptrox Academy just ate. I'm assuming that was a misclick by Credible there.
Pulling it is okay, I think.
Using the broken Stopwatch when there was no danger at all. Maybe just maybe wanting to feel gold like his plays at this point. But probably a little bit too.
No flame. Out comes the Sad United. In comes a massive ultimate from the Kennen. That's one cut already. Looking for Whisper shots. Ace in the hole, but the death from below will secure him. Dark Blast gonna be a sacrificial lamb as well as the triple kill comes through for the Pike. Huge for the Anivia one trick, and they get an ace against this team.
Yeah, we were saying how much Toxie was an Anivia one trick, how devastating it could be on this champion. Well, that doesn't really seem to matter when you're 8-0-4 on a Pike at 24 minutes in. 6 seconds left on Jappy. There are 10 seconds left on Whisper Shot. I doubt that VPX are going to be able to push any further than this, but they take the inhibitor and immediately peel towards Baron. Looking instead for the reset, but oh no, Jappy, you don't want to be stepping too far forward here.
Jappy, my sweet summer child, you're just going to go down again. Toxie picks up his 9th kill, come back with 1,600 gold in his pocket. And you're just feeling so sorry for Stopwatch. What can they do? 10,000, 11,000 gold, I should say, behind their opponents. Vuptrox Academy firmly in the driver's seat. They are toying with their food almost at this point. It's a consolation in Feral Drake at this point.
Yeah, and
they don't even get it! Stolen away by the Foul Spark. Leave It in Limbo goes down once again to the death from below. Toxie 10-0-4 stomping on this pike. They're pinging for Baron. I don't even know if they need it to close it out, but they're going to go for the clean macro style of play. Push in the butt, push in the top as well with this Baron empowered push. That they're going to just shred.
Like you say, Dark Soul, I think at this point of the game, we don't really need Vuptrox Academy to take the Baron to secure the game. They've been playing so cleanly throughout this entire match thus far, but taking the Baron just allows them that certainty, that extra nailing the coffin to push in all 3 lanes at once and really hammer home this advantage. We've seen how this Shen cannot stand up to the Kennen at all, so in a 1v1 push, he will take the tower there. This Pike able to roam around very quickly and push in waves where needed. Vuptrox Academy simply going for the certainty here. There is no reason for them to risk anything at all. And you ask the question, what can Stopwatch do? I think they need to take a look at this game, put the stream back to the beginning and learn from their mistakes. Not draft a late game scaling composition when that has been where you have fallen down previously. I don't think the Zeref and the Xayah have worked for them so far. They're definitely not finding success, and it's going to be, quite frankly, a bit of a miracle if they can hold on long enough to get back into this game.
It feels like they picked this style of composition to try and act as sort of a bandage or a band-aid against their weakness of their late game, where they just keep repeatedly falling down, and it's worked in the opposite sort of way that they wanted. They lost completely the early game, and that has made them lose, just cost them completely the mid and late, and it just shows in the gold gap. 13,000 gold, they have no pressure anywhere. Baron power push in the bot and in the top, and they've supers in the mid.
Absolutely, it's just weakened every aspect of their game so far. Stopwatch, even against some of the best teams in our league, were able to put up a good fight in the early game, able to put up a decent fight in the mid game, but it was always the late game where they fell off. They drafted themselves the scaling competition with the Xayah, with the Zeref, and the 2 tanky frontlines of the Shen and the Sejuani to try and compensate for that it fell, alleviate a bit of that pressure they've been feeling.
Looking for a desperation fight here. Out comes Sejuani. Glacial Prison will not do anything. You're just so tanky on this Trundle. Box would just delay them a little bit. And Rundown is looking to target this tier 3 tower in the bottom side. Outcome placing the hole will be blocked by Jappy instead, but they're going to take the inhib tower, going to take the inhib now. Look at the supers in the mid and top. They just have no way of trying to defend this. They barely any wave play. It's only on whisper shots, and he's only the person on the enemy team on the side of Stopwatch with any semblance of damage. Slicing melts him into the back. They're just decimating the lineup, and Stopwatch, that's a double kill now, looking maybe for the penta kill, but it will be denied. Double kill comes through for Toxie. The ace comes through for Vuptrox. They say we're not just a middle of the pack team. We're good. We can be at the top.
12-0-6 on this Anivia 1 trick, 2-0-17 on this Trundle. We see Vuptrox Academy put up a commanding performance over their opponents and dig Stopwatch into an early grave. They say, we don't care if you want to try and take this game to a late game composition, we are not going to let you get there in the first place. Really dominating performance, pressure in every single point of the map, just not letting Stopwatch get a single footing on the Rift here today, and Vuptrox Academy will be our game 2 winners for this week of our Square 1 League.
And it was such a commanding game, such a dominating game. Toxie didn't die once. He got 3 items. He got a GA, for heaven's sake. He cannot die on that Pike. I think the last time he played Pike, it was a win as well, if I'm not mistaken. And the roams that he had, the vision that was established from the side of Vuptrox, they were just completely smothered and choked out Stopwatch, and there was nothing they could do. The only one that got any semblance of an advantage was Whisper Shots. But then he had Jappy that wasn't finding the hooks, wasn't finding the plays, and leaving Limbo also couldn't do anything as well. Darkbla tried to help with the Stand United, but it just fell flat.
Yeah, definitely didn't live up to expectations. We thought we might be seeing a composition that revolved all around whisper shots, and in the early stages where he got those 2 kills, it was looking promising, but simply too much damage, too much pick potential for the side of Vuptrox Academy. And Toxie, shout out to that man,
Mm-hmm.
12-0-6.
Yeah.
We said we wanted to see him leave lane, roam around the map, and create havoc, and that is exactly what he did to secure his team that victory.
And you said in Champion Select even that we need the Vuptrox to force early and that they're early favored. And that's exactly what they did. So MVP to Toxie. I think there's a bit of a shout out to everyone on the side of Vuptrox for playing their matchups really, really well. Run down to the top side, just made sure Darkblood just couldn't do anything. Krend going for the early invades as well as just getting all this pressure down. And then obviously in the bot side, they played their matchup relatively well too. So very well played from Vuptrox. They want to break into the top tier level of our league. They want to show themselves that they can maybe face up against the likes of actually CBA or GG or some of these other top tier teams. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, that will be it from us for today, unless you have any closing comments there, Serge.
No, just gonna say with a performance like that, I don't see why they couldn't. We've seen 2 really strong, dominating performances today on the stream. First, we had Fuzzy Esports taking out PugChimp in a bit of an upset, and now Vuptrox Academy showing the absolute mastery of the roaming pick style composition as well. So just really excited to see what these teams can go forwards, and expecting a little bit of a shake-up at the top side of our roster over coming weeks heading up to playoffs. So definitely an exciting situation to watch develop.
Yeah, I'm definitely really excited to see that as well, because we thought that our top of the table was really black and white, just completely decided. But we have some of these dark horses coming in. Fuzzy Esports definitely one of the biggest dark horses. We thought they were bottom tier, bottom of the table. That's where they'd stay, but they're looking to prove us all wrong. As I said, that will be it from us for today for the stream. The stream will be back tomorrow, same time, same place as every week for more SQ1 action. So we'll see you guys then.